Welcome to Spawn Solutions. Today we're looking at a brand new upper receiver made by Centurion Arms. Those of you who follow my channel know that there's not a lot of products that I actually put my name to and say that I fully endorse. Centurion's one of them. Centurion is owned and operated by a retired Navy SEAL, Monty LeClaire, who's been, even as he was still in active duty, between him and his wife, they were maintaining a business manufacturing basically really advanced, lightweight, free-floater rails for AR-15 M16 type rifles, as well as some very popular diopter sights for an AR-15, very similar to that of the HK MP5. And as you see over here to my left here, you'll see we have a few of the products here. The rifle we have over here is one of his Recce rifles, 16-inch heavy barrel. It's designed around the Mark 262 cartridge, which you're basically looking at a sub-MOA gun. This particular rifle is about a half to three-quarter MOA with 77 grain OTM Black Hills ammunition at 100 yards. And we also have a couple upper receivers here that I had him custom make for me to my specifications. And we'll talk a little bit about some of these other parts later. But this particular upper receiver is what we want to talk about. Monty had a request from a foreign customer who needed a short-barreled 300 Blackout. And basically he wanted to go as short as he could go. So what we see here is a 5.5-inch barrel. Now, along with a 5.5-inch barrel, he had to do basically a micro gas system to be able to make this work. This is a stainless steel match barrel, believe it or not, even as short as it is. It's made to his match grade specifications. And we topped this off with an ASR mount. This is also Monty's vertical pistol grip that he manufactures for Centurion as well. Very interesting gun. You're looking at 2.9 pounds for this upper receiver alone, just for the upper receiver. Overall length of 14.37 from, probably from the actual barrel, not the ASR mount, to the rear. We have a very low profile gas block, as you can imagine, very low profile, which is also drilled and pinned. This is something else that Monty LeClaire does that many manufacturers don't, because he is a military grade manufacturer. There's no question that if you were building a military grade weapon, you have to have a drilled and pinned gas block, because if you do not, there's an opportunity there that could move forward during use. If your gas block moves forward, you basically start cutting off gas. At first, you'll start losing gas in short stroking, then eventually it will cut right off. By having a gas block drilled and pinned, there's no way for that to move. That's military grade reliability. So something else we want to take a look at on here too is the bolt carrier group. Monty designs and builds his own bolt carrier groups. Now they are mil spec, however. He has got a new bolt out right now that basically exceeds many, many times over. So we're going to take a look at this new bolt carrier. Now, Monty is very well known for his chrome carriers, which to me, this is an awesome thing. Those of you who follow my channel, you also know when we talk about various types of finishes that I'm a big proponent for chrome. Chrome, granted, it's not as high tech as some of these newer ones are, but it works. In fact, this is how Stoner designed his weapon, because chrome does a few different things. It's self-lubricious. When you have friction between two pieces of metal, chrome acts as basically a lubricious finish. It's also 2 to 3 times harder than barrel steel. You can also see we have sand cuts right here. Sand cuts were designed around the FAL, basically around the Israelis, due to the fact that these weapons are malfunctioning in the sand. This basically provides crud grooves to aid in durability and reliability. So these have been added to this, as well as the chrome plating. There's also a different type of carrier key screw that's used as well. These are called grade 8 OC carrier key screws. These are a lot more, shall we say, there's more gripping area on the surface of these than there are regular carrier key screws. Makes for a much more secure staking when you stake the carrier key to the screws. We also have a chrome-plated cam pin, and now we'll take a look at the bolt. First of all, the thing we'll take a look at is we have dual ejectors. Now, why would you want dual ejectors? Dual ejectors serve very good purposes for short-barreled guns where you have a very high cyclic rate. Basically, when you have a very, very high cyclic rate, sometimes your bolt you're running so fast that your ejector can't keep up and get that cartridge case out of the ejection port. By having two ejectors on there, you're able to egress that out significantly faster and significantly harder. Now, that's not just with higher cyclic rates. It's also caused by higher cyclic rates caused by being suppressed, as well as gas port erosion. So basically, this ensures that no matter what your cyclic rate is, you're going to be able to eject that cartridge case out of there. You also have a reshaping of the bolt as well. Basically, you have an enhanced body profile that's making a larger radius behind the locking lugs, which is increasing the strength. And this particular one can be used in the standard mil-spec barrel extensions. Monty also offers another one, which he refers to as the E4. This is compatible with the nice Armament EW3 extensions, and he also has his own, which are marked T. Now, basically what you have are locking lugs that are radiused for those. Those are not usable in standard barrel extensions. You basically have to have the specific barrel extension, again, either the T made by Centurion or the EW3 barrel extension made by Knights for that to work. And by having those radiuses, it's also an increase in strength. Now, this is chrome. They're also made in manganese phosphate with chrome plating in the inside and, of course, inside the carrier key. You can get them either way. Again, I'm much more of a proponent for chrome, so I'm much more pleased to have the chrome plating for me. Now, of course, reassembly like a standard bolt carrier. Insert your bolt, align your cam pin slot. In fact, we even have a little arrow on this cam pin to show you what direction you want it to go forward. So it's the same way every time. So we put the arrow forward. So you can see the arrows forward. Unlock the bolt. Now we can drop our firing pin down. Insert the firing pin retaining pin, and there we go. So this was tried with a 300 Blackout. Of course, this works 300 Blackout. It works for 5.56 as well. This firearm is primarily designed for suppressed use. If you put your hand on here, you'll be able to see that my hand is very close to that muzzle, which is not really a good thing. So primarily, this thing is to be used with a sound suppressor. What I'm using here is the Silencer Co. 36M. And the ammunition that we used was primarily Black Hills 220 grain, as well as Remington 220 grain OTM. We're going to take this to range and we're going to see how it shoots. This thing was brutally quiet. We shot it on steel, and then I even did another video for it just to show you going into how quiet it was without even hitting the steel. Very, very quiet. Now you have a very, very low velocity on here, especially with that heavy bullet, but this is a close-up range gun. This is under 200 yards for what this is designed for. Now when you do shoot supersonic, you probably would have to have, this particular one, you probably would have to have the gas port open up a little bit more. One of the problems you have with a barrel that is so short, you have no distance between the gas port and the end of the muzzle. So your time your system is pressurized is very, very short. And with a supersonic cartridge with those higher pressures, that can cause some issues with short stroking. We did have a couple of issues with short stroking because of that issue. Now, when I talked to Monty about it, he said, well, basically, we just need to open up that gas port to work with the supersonic. I'm not interested in doing that because the only ammunition I'm going to be using with this is subsonic, so I'm not concerned how it works with supersonic. This is primarily designed only for suppressed, and I'm going to keep it that way. If you were to buy this upper receiver from Monty, and you could state that you wanted it to work with both super and sub, he would be able to open up the gas port so it would work with supersonic. But if you're using this for subsonic, and there's no reason why you would use this for anything other than subsonic, the gas port is just perfect the way that it is. It's gassed perfectly. Now, the optics that we used on here were the 300 Blackout optics made by EOTech, which has both the dots for sub and supersonic, as well as the, we have an aim point, basically 3x magnifier on here. I'm going to talk about some other components that we have here from Centurion Arms, and it's this receiver up here. Now, this receiver is one that I had specially made by Monty. I wanted an ideal combat barrel, and for me, the ideal combat barrel is going to be a SOCOM barrel, 14.5 inch, with a mid-length gas system. Now, mid-length gas system is a reliability enhancement. It's very advantageous over a carbine-length gas system. For as far as I'm concerned, unless you have to have a bayonet, there's no reason to even use a carbine-length gas system on a 14.5 inch barrel. So that's what I had him build me. Now, some of my custom specifications are I had an Arms 40L, one of the OEM front sight bases that was drilled and pinned in place. And we have one of his C4 handguards on here. We can see this one goes, this is a mid-length handguard, which extends over the front, so you have a little bit of extra real estate on here. And of course, we have a standard upper receiver, Magpul ejection port cover. And we also have a chrome-plated bolt carrier group in this. So this is really an ideal upper receiver for me. Now, many of you out there will say it's too heavy. It's too heavy. You know what? For a combat barrel, it needs to be somewhat heavy if you don't want the gun to overheat. Under a very heavy firing schedule, when a barrel overheats, you get failures to extract, and those are the ones where the cartridge case gets stuck in the chamber, and you got to basically mortar that sucker out. It rips the rims off of the cartridge cases, which is a problem the M4s had in the Global War on Terror in the early days when it was being used for purposes that it was not designed for. The original M4 barrel was not designed for a heavy scheduling of fully automatic or burst fire. It was supposed to be a light weapon. It was supposed to be one that was for a guy who needed something in between a M16A2 or A4 and an M9 pistol. Something in the middle. That's what the M4 was designed for. And that's when they had the issues with the overheating and the barrels bursting. The SOCOM barrel cured that. It turned it into an assault rifle. This basically takes all those benefits of the SOCOM barrel, adding a proper gas system to it, giving you the best of all worlds. The next barrel we have here is, again, this is the exact same setup that you see there. The only difference is this one has a 16-inch barrel. And again, I use the ASR mounts. We do have flashlights on here too. We have a Streamlight light on here, a ProTac. I'm actually quite fond of Streamlight myself. They tend to work really, really well. And something else that we have on here is another one of Monty's bolt carriers. This one here is the same one, but it just doesn't have his logo on it. But this was one of his carriers as well with his standard chrome bolts. And the other thing that I have on here that is very unusual is a charging handle that is manufactured by Springfield Armory. Now, we've all heard of a forward assist, which, again, should never be used. And that forward assist, basically, you're jamming around into the chamber, you're trying to jam that bolt to lock. This is what's referred to as a rearward assist. Now, what a rearward assist does is when you have that kind of a failure, you're trying to unlock it, generally you have to mortar it. What this does is this makes it so you do not have to mortar. Basically, you're opening that up. You have a camming surface, and that camming surface is going to unlock that bolt. So basically, this is eliminating your need to ever actually have to mortar again. And this, by having this leverage on here, it makes you be able to clear a cartridge failure very, very easily because of that leverage. It's a rather large system, I certainly will admit. How often does it happen? Is it necessary? Possibly not, but I wanted an ideal combat rifle where I pretty much think of anything that could go wrong and having a remedy for it. This rearward assist was really a good idea. It was really well thought out, and this is useful. A forward assist to me is not useful. It's not ever a good idea to try to jam a cartridge into a chamber. It's not good. If it's not going to lock on its own, it's telling you there's a problem. What this is for is if there is a problem that you do not cause by jamming it, that the weapon has a failure. This is something that will cure that. The next is a complete rifle that we have here. We have a complete video on this rifle, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Monty is basically well known for his Mark 12s. I have a whole video on my Mark 12. That one I just couldn't get to it at the moment, but I was able to get to my recce. This is another specific rifle that he builds. This would predate the Mark 12. This is a non-TDP rifle. This is a 16-inch heavy barrel. This also has a mid-length gas system. Monty does a good thing with his gas systems. He does not use carbine-length gas systems unless it's absolutely necessary. So again, a reliability enhancement, a stainless steel barrel, 1-in-7. This chamber is designed to run the Mark 262 77 grain OTM cartridge. That specific round the same way the Mark 12 is. That's where your precise accuracy is going to come from. So this is basically the same dimensions on the inside as the Mark 12 barrel, but this is a much heavier barrel. It comes more to it gets narrower as it comes forward, but it's a very heavy barrel. The suppressor I have on here is the LMT Ion reverse flow. Handguard, again, this is the C4. I tend to like the C4s a lot better than the CMRs. I really can't tell you why. I just tend to like them. These are all M-LOK as well. You have QD spots on the QD slots on the end of the handguards. You have this is a standard Centurion carrier, manganese phosphate, chrome plated. You have some of my things I tend to like myself, meaning the Mayon grip. 20-round magazine, of course, makes it easier for bench shooting. And this is just a B4 stock. The only reason there's a B4 stock on here is because I ran out of stop mod stocks, which is my favorite. We also have a gas buster charging handle on here because this particular can is reverse flow. You don't get as much, but I also have a lot of silencer coke cans and some other cans where you do get a lot more gas that comes to the rear and into the shooter's face. The Gas Buster is probably one of the best ones out there and most durable ones. There are some out there that probably work a little bit better than the Gas Buster, such as the one put out by Silencer Co., but you have basically a rubber band that goes around the bottom of that can wear out, and when that wears out, then it's still better than this. But this one here, you don't have to worry about any kind of a rubber band wearing out that seals basically the charging handle to the receiver. On the screen, you're going to see 3 separate codes that we have with Centurion to save you some money. So if you're looking to buy any Centurion parts, use those codes. Now, you will find that these parts are in and out. As soon as Bonnie gets these parts in, they're gone. So really, you just have to keep track and keep checking back on that website. I know for as far as his bulk carriers are concerned, these chrome carriers that he has, he'll have 200 of those, and those will be gone within an hour. So again, he has product in there, but as soon as that product comes, it's gone. So if you're interested in getting anything from there, you really just got to keep an eye on his website. And again, these are products to go to war with. These are designed heavy duty. They're designed for combat use. Again, a lot of you guys tend to like lightweight. Everybody likes lightweight, but unfortunately, physics don't match up with it. If you want a lightweight rifle where you're going to be light use and light duty, that's one thing. But if you're looking to have a rifle that could get you, that you'll be in actual combat with, where you would have a large volume of fire, you definitely want to have the more rigid and the heavier barrel that's going to be able to deal with heat, deal with cook-off, and deal with all that better. And again, a proper gas system. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share.